Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome and happy Monday. We are here with the Global Impact Educator webinar, and we are chatting today about the #1 solution to thriving during chaos. And how do we actually navigate this chaotic space that we're all living in when there's so much uncertainty and so much that we really don't know. And it really is just a time when there's so many questions, and it's time for us to actually have the conversations about what do we do about it, and how do we actually turn on that thrive button during this chaos, and how do we actually navigate through it. So I'm super excited to have you guys with us today, and super excited to have this conversation. I have actually been having this conversation a lot over the last week with several of my educator teams that I'm coaching. And it is all around, like, how do I navigate this? How do I turn off? Like, how do I stop working? How do I not live in this state of overwhelm and stress? And how do I get out of this? Like tell me how. And so many of us want to know how. So that's really what we're going to talk about today. And so really cool topic. But as we start everything, whether you are with us live or with us in the chat or seeing us on Facebook, go ahead and type in the chat, what are you most grateful for about yourself right now, even as you're navigating through overwhelm? What is that one little thing that you are most grateful for about you and who you are and who you're showing up as? So, and make sure that if you are typing in the chat that you are sending it to all panelists and attendees so that we can all be able to see what you are saying. So, Audra, I love your response first. Will you share that out loud with us?
Yes, I mean, I think it's that whole idea that you are what it can be the positive is also could be the negative, double-edged sword. But the fact that I know that enough about myself to know that I am relentless, and I will keep pursuing something until I figure it out. And I kind of like having that reliability about me. I think other people rely about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Love it. Love it. Tammy, you're on mute.
Hey everyone. What I'm really noticing myself about is just my discernment, right? Like, I am so focused right now. I feel like I'm in the Olympic journey of my life right now, just so focused on the people I'm surrounding myself with, the thoughts I'm allowing myself to think about, the conversations I'm participating in, where I'm showing up, and really trying to ground myself in nature as much as possible. Just staying away from the news, the media, the conversations that get you all riled up. So that's what I've been really proud of myself, is that I've been never more focused, like going on a strong disciplined diet, right? Just really what my area of intention, setting my intention, and then staying clear and true to that. So, and then staying part of these kind of groups. These are the things that really ground me. And again, these community groups that are like-minded and high vibrational thoughts and feelings. So yeah, awesome. Thank you for creating these spaces for us.
Yeah, it's a diet for your brain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now more than ever, we need to be really strict on this.
Yeah, for sure. Ward, I love your answer. Share with us, what are you grateful for about yourself?
I'm grateful that I try not to take myself very seriously, and I try not to take the world very seriously because it can bring you down real fast. So I try finding ways to laugh. Laughing at myself, self-deprecating humor is always a good thing. Laughter, and it's good because it brings down blood pressure and it releases all the fun endorphins that try to keep you positive. So laughter is the best medicine.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
A nun and a priest? No, just kidding.
That's a whole other conversation. Jill, what about you?
I think if I heard right something that I love about myself right now,
What are you grateful for about yourself through all of this?
sweet goodness, that I'm still trying, right? That truly this is a test right now as to what's happening, but I kind of keep showing up. You know, I get the humor in those things, and I can get really down on myself really quick. But I'm not giving up, and I keep trying, and that's what I'm gonna hold on to this week for sure.
That's awesome. Awesome. Love it. Love it. And just a quick reminder, anyone else that wants to join us on video, we have several other people kind of jumping in the background. If you want to join us on video, just go ahead and raise your hand and we'll bring you on. Melissa, what about you?
What am I grateful for myself?
Yes. What are you doing that you're grateful for right now?
I swam in the ocean yesterday and jumped waves for the second time in my adult life, and it was scary as hell. So I'm super grateful that I'm creating play in an environment that's very unfamiliar for me, that's not safe, not predictable, and it scares the living shit out of me. But I know that that's where the magic is, and I was chattering my teeth. It was so cold. And I was with somebody and they were like, you want to get out? And I'm like, no, I want to play. And so I'm grateful for that, because I know that when I give myself the permission to just lean into that uncomfortable space, that there's something magic on the other side. Like, it may scare the hell out of me to do it, but I'm grateful that I'm just practicing doing something that's not safe, not familiar, not known. And I'm acknowledging that. So that's what I'm grateful for.
I love it. Love it. Love it. I am super grateful to be asking for help as much as I am during this time in my life. Like, I am leaning into the surrender of not having to do it on my own. Like, I was raised like, you suck it up and you handle it. Like, you figure it out and you know, just, you're a strong, independent woman and you can do it on your own and you don't need anyone. Like, that was the narrative that I was raised with. And, you know, it serves you to a point. Like, I've created some success in my life, but I have never created the abundance and the flow in my life as I have in the last couple of years, and really intensely in the last few months, as I have reaching out for help and just not being alone anymore. And knowing that I have this amazing community. One of the things that in the Young Entrepreneur Academy and in the marketing segment of what we were teaching the kids, and we were teaching them how to come up with like who is your customer and how are you connecting with them. And one of the first things is come up with a customer you want to hang out with all the time. So, and I was like, that's a great way to put it. And I think about when I first started working with educators 10 years ago, I remember just walking out of West Tech and going, I never want to do anything else. Educators are the most amazing humans on the planet. Why have I not hung out with them more? Like, these are my people that I want to hang. We are all so driven to give of ourselves and to, you know, make this difference in the world that we were born to make, and to create this ripple effect in our lives, that I'm like, yeah, how can I help this community? How can I contribute? How can I add value? And that's really what you're all doing right now. You're all like head first, unknown what's under the water, took a deep dive and went, I'm going in. And y'all did it. And you're doing it every day. And that growth and learning trajectory that you're on is so incredible that y'all need to take a deep breath and savor how freaking amazing you are. Like don't wait, just like do it right now. Like, take a deep breath and go, wow, I'm kind of a badass. 'Cause you are. If you think about where you were in January, February, even beginning of March, right? To where you are now, and the things that you've learned how to do, the obstacles you've overcome, the lives you've impacted, and the list goes on, right? You're a badass. each and every one of you, no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what challenges you're focused on, you've done it. You've built it. You're nurturing babies in this virtual environment, or some of you in a hybrid environment, some of you full back in person with plastic things separating, like you've done it, right? And you're doing it. And this is your life. Like, you've created the opportunity for you to be giving to other people on this planet from a place of resilience, persistence, overcoming obstacles, love, grace, humanity, like everything positive that you stand for, you are living and thriving right now. And I know so many of you are looking at the glass half empty and thinking, but it's not enough. I'm still working 12 hours days. I'm not this, I'm not that. This person's prettier on Pinterest than mine, and this person, and I'm not enough. And wait, that person has prettier hair. Wait, that person has, and I'm making things up. Like, you've all got this proverbial bat that you keep, I'm going to use my pen, going, I'm wrong, I'm not enough, I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm not. Stop, put it down, stop. You're amazing, you're doing it. Give yourselves permission to breathe. You are exactly where you're meant to be, doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. And so when we think about this chaos that's happening in the world, it is so vital that you go on a mental diet of what you are allowing to rent space up here. You choose. You choose your social media channels. You choose your news media channels. You choose the people you hang out with. You choose. Make those choices non-negotiables in your life. And so Melissa and I are going to start talking about the number one solution to thriving during this chaotic situation, during this uncertainty, is boundaries. Boundaries. Those choices that you make each and every day on who you allow into your life, what you allow to rent space in your brain, what you see, what you spend time talking about, what you spend your time doing. Are there things that you have to do, like take out the trash and do some obnoxious data things and things that might not make sense to you, but you kind of got to do them because they're, yes. And you get to choose when you do them, what environment you set up around you to do them in. You get to choose if you get to collaborate with someone to do them, and who you want that to be. You choose. You also get to choose when you have sacred me time. Not me, you, right? When is that? And I'm going to let Melissa speak to this a little bit. That sacred me time and how it pays dividends for everything else in life. And Mel, will you chat about that? Because that's like, you practice what you preach, and you're on mute, by the way. You practice what you preach, and you live it, and you create the environment, and to go through the obstacles that you've gone through in your life, and we all have, whether it's this whole digital learning. And we can point fingers and we can go, yeah, but it's different. Yeah, but it's different. Yeah, but no, it's not different. We're all grown, and we all get to choose what's okay and what's not okay for us. Go ahead, Mel.
So before we start, I just want to show a hand who's on camera. Raise your hand if you've, and there's no right or wrong or judgment. Raise your hand if you've ever struggled with boundaries, saying no. All of us, right? Okay, great. I forgive you. I'm human, right? But we're now at this point where we get to learn what's okay and not okay. And at the end of the call, I'm going to drop in a link in the comment section today in the chat, and as well as on Facebook, on a really great TED Talk that talks about how do you create boundaries between a work and life boundaries. And when Sandy said this was a topic that we were going to talk about, this subject is extremely important, if not the foundation for self-respect. You teach people how to treat you. Let me repeat that. You teach people how to treat you. And the way that you love and respect yourself is the way that others will love and respect you first. So if Sandy says, if you've got this bat of shaming and guilting and I'm not good enough and I'm not this and all these things, what do you think's going to show up for you? It's going to validate that because that's all you're focusing on. So when we talk about boundaries and the work-life balance and, you know, a couple of things is, let me just set the foundation first and foremost is you've got to forgive yourself with where you are if this is more common than not, because if you are in an environment, let's say work environment, where you work 10 hours a day and that has been your norm for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, like raise a show of hands if like more than 8 hours a day and longer is the norm for you for work. And I'm talking about work. Is that the norm? Okay, great. So in all fairness, if that's become your norm and you've worked like that for the last 5, 10, 15 plus years, you believe that's normal. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your subconscious, again, remember we've talked about this, in your beliefs and your patterns, you have created that as a normalcy in your life. So therefore, how you show up every day, you think it's normal. So in order to unlearn that, you're going to have to get really uncomfortable and do something different. You're going to have to be willing to get uncomfortable and do something different. And it's going to call boundaries. And it's going to be, well, what does that look like? Okay. So Tammy says, my work is my passion, so it is what I also love. Absolutely. Tammy, I love what I do, but I love me first. Because I know if I don't make that time for myself and what I love outside of what I do, and I do what I do really damn good. And I absolutely love doing what I do. And I know Sandy does too. But I also know that when I want to go out and play and take a vacation and have fun, like, goddamn, I want to go have fun. And interesting enough, the conversation that Sandy and I had this weekend was, when was the last time that you took a week vacation with no work? Like not even checking your email, 7 days. When was the last time that you set that boundary? Think about it. And if it's been longer than a year where you've actually fully disconnected, that's a problem. So yes, you can do what you love, it could be a passion, but also working that long, day in and day out, it becomes nearly impossible to be mentally and physically, emotionally full for yourself. Then you start poking at people around you. Then you start getting short with people. Your health starts to take an impact. I mean, I can go on, but I don't need to go on. So how do we set boundaries? Okay, great. Maybe one of the boundaries is if you, and I can share this as an example. I have a client right now who is a recovering workaholic and is like, I need to end my day at 5 o'clock, go in at 9 o'clock and leave at 5 o'clock. I need to practice that. I'm like, okay, great. Well, how often are you doing that right now? He's like, never. And I'm like, okay, great. How about we practice it one day a week where you go in at 9 and then another day you leave at 5, because going in at 9 and leaving at 5 on the same day was like a whole visceral reaction. They were like, oh, no, I can't do that. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's take a baby step. How about one day a week? You go in at 9 o'clock, your designated start time. And then another day you leave at 5 o'clock, your designated time. This doesn't mean you go home, you're checking email and working. It's just one day. And that's how you start. Your boundaries don't need to be grand. They need to be established. They don't need to be grand. They just need to be established. So ask yourself, where in your work-life balance can you give a little no so you can be a yes? Maybe you take a lunch. Maybe you take 30 minutes at lunch and you shut your computer and you shut your phone off and you go eat outside. Like, I don't give a damn what it looks like, but what does that balance look like? And I'm a recovering workaholic. This is easy for me to talk about. And the reason why I left Las Vegas and moved to live by the beach is because I geographically wanted to put my body and my mind and my soul in an environment that was more in alignment with the life that I wanted to create. And I'm here, and it's great. And I've tripled my income since I've made that jump, because it was uncomfortable, it was unfamiliar, and it was not known. But the norm for me was 10 to 12-hour days for, at least 10 years. But what I realized is I really wasn't happy. What I realized is my mental cup was constantly exhausted. What I realized is that my sex life sucked. What it realized is that my intimacy with the people that I love the most was suffering. So you got to set that a boundary. Sandy, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. So when you think about the other areas of your life, the other things that bring you joy besides the work that you do in the world, what are they?
Oh my God, I love walking on the beach. I love cooking. I love taking art classes. Now that I live out here in California, it's like I was in the ocean yesterday. I'm going stand-up paddleboarding this weekend. It was like, I love being active and doing things that moving my body is probably one of the number one things that bring me joy, and cooking and anything health related. And so it's just doing that where it doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun and play.
And Melissa, it's a great example of how your identity is not just your work. Your identity is who you are as a whole human. And so if being an educator is what you love, it is what you are passionate about, well, what about translating that into having people over to do a cooking class? So that maybe you're not the teacher leading the class, but it's still a part of, being an educator, right? It's still a part of learning and growing. What are other identities that you guys have that fill your cup? Because, and this is one of the things that we talked about way back in March, right? When it was like a dramatic smack in the face identity shift of, wait, who am I as a teacher if I'm not in the classroom with kiddos? That was like the first identity shift we talked about in March, 6 months ago, right? And so now as we're settling into this new norm of education, how do we actually settle in from a place of, who are you, right? And not from a place of, if you don't know the answer to that, you're a bad person. But if you don't know the answer to that, start noticing the things that bring you joy. It's just an invitation for you to just start noticing. You know what? It brings me joy to listen to jazz music as I get ready in the morning. Fabulous. When was the last time that you watched jazz? Well, not live right now, but that you actually just turned it on the TV and watched it for the evening instead of watching the news?
Because I'm going to chime into this. There will be a point in your career where you will not maybe be an educator in a school. So now what? Who else are you? I ran a nonprofit for almost 10 years in Vegas, and Las Vegas knew me as Melissa, the executive director of the top, health and wellness organization. But then after 9 years, like one day it was gone, literally. But that's not who I am. Does that make sense? Yes, I took my career to the next level, but it just changed a little bit. Because one day, you're not going to be that educator in a school environment. What else brings you joy? What else could you do that fills you up? Because that's going to be important.
And creating boundaries around your work to create that quote unquote work-life balance, which to me, like Tammy was referencing, it should be work-life integration so that it flows. But it only flows with healthy boundaries around what's okay and what's not okay for yourself, so that you can make time to actually become the edupreneur that you dream of, so that you're balancing the things that are happening within the school structure, but you also have this entrepreneurial essence energy to you that allows you to think and dream bigger than the four walls of your current environment, which that actually feeds this and the souls of students that you teach in this container, even more so, because the fastest growing industry on the planet is entrepreneurism. And if we are not modeling for our kids what that mindset is, we're not setting them up for success. The fastest growing industry is entrepreneurism. For a while, it was tech, and not that tech's going away, because tech is big as well. But it's that entrepreneurism that allows the tech advancements to happen. And so if we, as educators, are leaning in and flexing our edupreneur muscles, either inside or outside or both of the education system, now we're making the impact we were born to make, because we're following the trends of why we're teaching students on a daily basis. We're not the keepers of information anymore. The internet, the computers, those are the keepers of information. We're the facilitators of amazing humans, right? Audra, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thought to realize that our job in some level, honestly, is self-defeating, because if we do it correctly, they don't need us. We're teaching them, and so they become independent. And I've seen a lot of situations, even growing up when I was being taught, where the struggle I'd had with my teachers was when there was a bottlenecking system because the teacher wanted us to need them. And I think if we are caught in this world of believing that we are necessary, which we are, but to the extent where it becomes, we don't have anything else to give kind of thing. Nature hates a vacuum. If you're not there for something, it will get done. If you can't respond to someone and you've got a good reason for it, it will still be answered. We aren't the end all be all center. I think it is an ego versus id, but you have to have that discussion with yourself. It's not that you can't enjoy what you do and that you do it when you're not, doing other things and love that, but just knowing that there is more to teaching, and it helps make our teaching better. It's like the best teachers are the ones that continue to be students. We all know that because you get it. It's like that idea of it's like that it factor, that X factor. Getting it has a lot to do with having a life outside of what you do all the time, because it just becomes, rote, but it also starts to, there's not as much sparkle and polish if you don't get outside yourself.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you, Audra, for that. Tammy, did you have something you were going to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, when I said the 10 hours, it's because I've transitioned into that. I love photography, so I teach half-time, so I have one foot in education, because I know if I had to do it full-time, I would die a slow death, because my creative self needs to, be embraced. I do interior decorating because I love home staging. I build my life around the things I love so that I have that balance in my life. So I've transitioned to that, right? Because I know what I need and I want to show up in the classroom as a full cup. And my life is my work, and it's all interwound with play. So it's how I show up in the world, and I love who I am. But thank you.
Love it. Love it. Jill, were you going to add to that? No? You look like you were going to say something.
Well, I'm just sitting here chuckling. I was going to put in there, that's a little inspiring, because I'm sitting here I probably could not even tell you at this point what I love. For me, I have no idea what I would enjoy doing outside of work and motherhood. No idea.
Yeah. And so start noticing, Jill, for what do you love about motherhood? What do you love about teaching? What are some of those specific elements that you love within those two buckets? Mm-hmm. And then think about, what would that be like to do that with girlfriends?
Or by yourself.
Or by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Things that I like to do by myself. I love you, Sandy, but I don't like you.
Right? We just spent a week together. We're good. And I missed her. As soon as I drove away, I was like, oh, I'm by myself now. But at the same time, that's the ebb and flow, right? Is that we get to choose what actually fills our own cup. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-mm. It's not selfish, it's self-respect. Mm-hmm. If you are putting your needs above someone else's wants, that is self-respect. If someone is bleeding and you're like, sorry, got to go get an ice cream, that's selfish, right? Love you, Tammy. See you soon. So really pay attention to the boundaries that you are establishing for yourself around self-respect, self-love, self-care, because none of that is selfish.
Mm-mm.
You deserve to savor this life every day. Because we all know you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, pandemic, right? Who would have thought? Someone thought of it at some point, but they're looking for the catastrophe things that are going to happen. Start looking for the things that are happening around you that bring you joy.
And
Start
Jill, I
looking
can
for,
not to interrupt you, but this just popped in my head. Jill, I know how much you like Halloween. So I think you know one thing that makes you joyous. It's sure Halloween. Just gotta drop that in there real quick. And there's that smile. Sorry, I had to call it out.
Very true. Very true.
So when you think about that, it's like, what can you do to start bringing some of that joy in right now? What can you start planning for a virtual Halloween party that's not just about school, that's not just about your kids, but that's for you and about you and maybe for your friends? It's starting, like Melissa said, it's starting those small habits to actually just begin building the neural pathways that create the new normal for you, right? I can't wait to see the Egyptian photo shoot. That's going to be awesome. Jill, it's amazing. But it really is about rewiring our brains to actually live the life that we are choosing to live. But it doesn't happen overnight. It happens by being more connected to your future than you are your past.
Mm-hmm.
By being more intentional about where you are spending your mental energy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you spending it on the past, on what happened yesterday that irritated you? Or are you spending it on what you're grateful for right now, what's working right now, what obstacles you need to overcome right now, and where you dream to be in the future? Because that's productive. Staying stuck thinking about yesterday, other than the lessons that you learned from yesterday, just keeps you more stuck in the chaos. And Ward, absolutely, it comes down to making a choice. And you have free will. You have choice.
I was just thinking about how funny it would be if I did what I love more often as opposed to just when I'm the most upset, because it's gotten to a point where when I start doing things that are crafty, my husband starts to worry.
Now that's some shit. Wow.
That's calling you out, right?
Right. But that's a great, I think, segue to kind of end the call, because we're really on time, is to, why is it that you only make that time and people around you are like, oh, what's wrong? Like, what if you did that more? And I want to leave it on this note. I talk about this all the time. Like, you got to track your wins in order to start creating difference. So I'll leave with this. So in order to do something different and acknowledge, like, everyone knows this method that I apply. Every time that I do something new that's uncomfortable or things that I'm practicing on, like, I write them on my calendar and I like check off my wins. Like, I'm a badass. I did this, and I know the things. For me, it was meditate, yoga. I'm not going to say that word on live television, but it's a lady word. Nourish my self-care, and 9 hours of sleep. And every time that I would do those things, I'm not kidding you, I would check it off and I would be proud of myself. And it was like, I did it. And so when you start to make notice of what you're doing and you start to know how good that feels in your body, that's when you do more of it. But remember what I said earlier, you guys, if we're used to, working that long of hours and not putting your self-care, not doing those things first, you've got to start small. Do it one day a week. Give yourself the credit and be patient with yourself.
Yeah, 1 day a week, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Start small. Make it attainable and pat yourself on the back.
Mm-hmm.
it's building that self-respect muscle,
Yeah.
right? You deserve it.
Mhm.
And, you know, with that in mind, we are adjusting these calls. And one of the reasons we're adjusting these calls is to really make space for all of the other programs that we have that are starting now that we're back into the school year. And so we've got our 3 virtual school culture circles that we're launching: 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. 1.0, if you've never worked with us before, come join us in that virtual circle. 2.0 and 3.0 are if you've worked with us before, and it's an invitation only. And then we've got the Ed Leader Circle that is just about you and growing your leadership. And then we have the ETE program, the Educator to Edupreneur Masterclass. It's 6-week online access to this program, plus a 30-minute coaching call with me to really guide your journey through your edupreneurial mindset and really what that looks like either inside or outside of the classroom. And so with all of these programs and all of this stuff that we've been building over the last 6 months, we're going to start doing these calls starting next week. So we will have a call next week, every other week. So we'll have one on the 7th and the 21st in September. So, and that's just to make space in our schedules, because that's honoring what's okay and what's not okay for us, is to make sure that we have our own personal rhythm as well. And wanting to deliver the value, we're going to make them an hour instead of a half an hour. I know we've been kind of moving them around a little bit, but we're finding the rhythm of what works for us in order to still serve you guys as our community. So make sure you are registering for the webinars, because we're also not going to be streaming them live on Facebook anymore. We'll be putting links that you can go in and register to watch the replay, and we'll be posting them on YouTube. But if you want to be participating live, you're going to have to register and make sure that you come in and we can have this vibrant community conversation. And make sure that you've joined the free Conscious Educator Circle on Facebook, because we have conversations in there throughout the week. And we're here for you. We're all in this together.
Yellow and white.
This is the time that we're able to really connect and support each other. Like I said, the thing that I'm most grateful for and where I've grown my abundance is from asking for help and surrounding myself with an amazing community. And I want that for all of you as well. So join the community. There are a ton of ways that you can do it for free. Our webinar will happen next Monday, the 7th. We will have one, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. It will be an hour. Make sure you've registered, because it will not be streamed live on Facebook anymore. We'll put the links on Facebook and all of that, but we won't be streaming it live. So just a few changes that are happening. But at the end of the day, it's so that we can support you guys as best as possible. The educatordynamics.com website is 99% done. It will be 100% done this week. Well, I guess it will always be 99, because there will always be something that I'll go, ooh, we could do that too. So it's 98% done. It'll be 99 by the end of the week. Take a look. Let me know what you guys think. Audra, big kudos to you for helping me get it off the ground, because it was a hard start with some content, and I so adore you for giving of yourself. And one of the ways that I asked for help, and you so graciously jumped in, I so appreciate that. So I would love for all of you to check out the Educator Dynamics website, poke around, look at the programs, see what's on there. Let us know how we can support you. If you are questioning whether the ETE, Educator to Edupreneur Masterclass, is right for you, schedule a call with me, schedule a call with Melissa. We're happy to chat with you about your journey and what makes sense for you. We're here to support you. Reach out to us, send us a direct message, send us an email. You know how to get a hold of us. If you don't, just email hello@educatordynamics.com. And we are here to support you guys to thrive as educators. And I want to wrap up the call with hearing from each of you, what is your number one nugget of wisdom that you are taking away from this call? What is your number one nugget of wisdom that you're taking away? So whoever wants to chime in first.
I think I leave with this more often than I should every time. It's like there's stuff that I already know, just making sure to actualize it. And I got to do that calendar thing. Dang it, that calendar thing.
Yes, I love it. Love it, love it.
How about you email me one and I'll send you an electronic one that I just designed. Shh. If you want it, anyone email it. I will send it to you. It's all electronic. You can actually do it right on your phone. Oh.
Ward, go ahead.
I got a bag of no with your name on it. No.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Boundaries. Love it. Jill, go for it.
How about putting, okay, hold on. Putting your needs above somebody else's wants is self-respect.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And we have Rumen chiming in the background. That just being engaged with this community. So Rumen, thank you for that. And I wish you all a beautiful rest of your week, and let us know how we can support you. And we will see you next Monday, the 7th. Make sure that you register for the webinar so that you can join us. We would love to see your beautiful faces, either as attendees in the background or on video. You can join either way. So if you're multitasking, that's okay too. We won't shame you for it. Love you all. See you soon. Have a great week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.